Hey, welcome back. For this episode, let me think. Oh, that's it. We can focus on Disney and Universal and their Halloweens, why they kick ass in the first place, and what could be done to make them even better. Now, anyone who has gone to the Magic Kingdom during the holidays will know that they have done an awesome job with their Halloween-themed nights. The atmosphere is just so festive that you simply take it all in as you travel throughout the park, getting candy along the way too, not to mention the rides. Yeah, I mean, no question, it's just a very welcoming environment for all ages, from the smallest to the youngest at heart, like me. And I'm not the only one too. But wait a minute, is Disney missing something here? If you really think about it, the situation seems a bit odd for a theme park resort like Disney that spends a hell of a lot of time trying to keep, some would say hold hostage, their guests on the property. The Disney way has always been to include as many activities as possible so as to not allow the guests the chance to leave and go to their competitors. That's a big no-no for Disney, obviously. So, instead of focusing on just one park for the holiday, why not involve all of the parks on the action? Let the others have a specific audience in mind, just as the Magic Kingdom has done over the years too. So just imagine if a park like, let's say, Epcot, what if they had an opportunity to do Halloween festivities on the same scale and promotion as Disney's Magic Kingdom? What could they do? Well, if the Magic Kingdom, as has been said over the many years, if they represent the heart, then Epcot symbolizes the brain. The park then should emphasize the history of Halloween throughout the entire globe in a World Showcase. And God knows they need more stuff around World Showcase. This is a great opportunity for them to jump in on the action. I mean, they've done a nice job during Christmas, so really there's no reason why Epcot shouldn't come along for the ride. I mean, guests will learn how different cultures view Halloween, and how each country has their own unique way of celebrating it. You know, like the Day of the Dead, or All Souls Eve, that kind of stuff. And just as Epcot had the Tapestry of Nations for the 2000 celebrations, you remember that. It was a parade that had the Lion King-esque puppets. That was so cool watching that. I still get amazed when I watch old video footage of that parade. They could do something like that for Halloween. One that celebrates the universal appeal of Halloween. I mean, for me, they could take a page from Ray Bradbury's The Halloween Tree, in which he wrote a story that taught the readers how Halloween has evolved throughout the ages and how each culture had its own thing with it. And of course, the animated film that Hanna-Barbera made in the 90s was so awesome. I learned a lot from that film about Halloween. And I'm sure if Epcot did the same thing with this one, they would hit out of the park if they executed just like the Halloween Tree. No question. Now, if Epcot is geared to older audiences like us, then the Hollywood Studios is obviously geared to teens and young adults, you know, like us, thrill seekers. So, Disney has the chance, I know it seems odd, but hear me out. They have the chance to actually cut into Universal's lead by creating an event that could actually rival Halloween Horror Nights. Of course, done under the Disney influence, which could go either way. I mean that it could go either way. It could be good, you know, if done properly, if they are willing to grow out of that comfort zone, or it could be really lame, like a wet blanket, which no one wants to go to. But think about it, and I mean this. The entire event would fall under a consistent theme, like The Nightmare Before Christmas, or the Disney villains. And you can just imagine the entire park decorated under those motifs. That certain locations or iconic places from the film, or relating to those Disney villains, would populate the entire park. So the park would be very festive, and not to mention highly detailed, just like how Universal does their Halloween Horror Nights. And along the way, you may come across or get scared by some of those Disney characters along the way. Now, I know people think, no one's going to get scared by Disney characters. But hey, trust me, if people still get afraid and scared by the Queen from Snow White, and I say that because I still get freaked out by the Queen from Snow White, then, it can certainly work today. Again, if they don't mess it up. And last, you have the Animal Kingdom. Now, the Animal Kingdom, since its appeal is to animal lovers, like us, young and old, then the Halloween festivities should have a special emphasis on the animals and how each culture views those creatures in their folklore or myths. Now, as for areas like Dino Land or the soon-to-be open Pandora, they can do their own thing since they're not really tied down to a particular culture or region, but they're simply referencing pop culture. So they can do their own thing. But Animal Kingdom, of all 4 parks, probably has the easiest thing to do since they're not really tied down by anything specific in mind. Now that we got through Disney, let's travel up the I-4 corridor to, what else? Universal Orlando. And just like Disney, the guys at Universal do a kick-ass job with their Halloween stuff. While Disney's just the wholesome family entertainment stuff, all that, Universal is for people like us who want to get a really good scare during this time of year. The atmosphere that they put up immediately puts you into the mood of a horror film. By day, it's just a normal park. But by night, the monsters and the clowns and the zombies take over. And I've always appreciated that because I love how something can look normal by day and then at night becomes something totally different. It takes a lot of effort and planning involved to make that transition work. And it just shows how much they're at the top of their game. And the theming doesn't end there, as it's extended to the haunted mazes, which are so detailed, with a lot of thought put into both the theming and the scare factors. But, like Disney, can Universal do more? Right now, Universal is going through a huge renaissance as they spruce up their theme parks, expand their hotels. They're right now working on a new state-of-the-art water park, and not to mention a 3rd park looming over the horizon. So maybe now is the time to look into expanding Halloween Horror Nights. I was fortunate enough to have gone to Halloween Horror Nights back in 2004. Not only was it my first time going to Halloween Horror Nights, but it was Universal's first time in utilizing both parks for the event. People forget that, but there was actually a time when they actually used both Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure for that one big event. So it was just so cool, to see both parks decorated to the event, from the haunted mazes to the costume characters, and even the fog. And the fog was such a nice touch because it was moody, it was scary, it was just badass. It really puts you into the mood of a horror film. I say that again because it was that awesome just to go through that fog. And what made it really awesome, besides all the stuff that I just said, was how we could go in between the parks by going through the backstage areas. The backstage area being the series of sound stages in the backlot of Universal Studios, which some of them were used for the mazes themselves or for the outdoor theming of the event as well. I really think they ought to go back to that plan. They really, really should. 2016 is a long ways from 2004. More people are going to Universal than ever before because of the new rides that they're putting in. Especially, you guessed it, Harry Potter. Which, speaking of Harry Potter, maybe they can find some way to utilize the Harry Potter themed lands into Halloween Horror Nights. I don't know, it just seems like a waste to not take advantage of the two themed lands, which happen to be on both sides of the resort, and how they're connected with the train now. Now, they might be able to do some stuff that they do now with Halloween Horror Nights, because, it may contradict with the universal appeal of the Harry Potter brand. Not to mention they may need J.K. Rowling's approval for any changes they have in mind. So what they could do is do what I call the Hong Kong China umbrella. You know how Hong Kong has its own system underneath the Chinese umbrella, where it's its own system as well? Well, they can do it here. Maybe they can do haunted mazes tied to specific events from the films, like the Death Eaters or the Prison of Azkaban, where the villains will be lurking around to scare people. Now, it won't be on the same intensity scale as, what you traditionally see in Halloween Horror Nights, of course, but it'll be done, still enough to scare people, while keeping in tune with the brand. So I really think that idea is worth looking into. Now, I don't know why Disney and Universal doesn't go and try those things. Maybe both of them realize that the logistics and the budgets are too much. I know Disney did one year try to do a Halloween Horror Nights type of event back in the studios. It was themed to Disney villains, and they got a lot of good feedback, but they had capacity issues and technical issues as well. And that's probably because the Disney studios, it was made as a movie theme park, it was never meant to be on the same scale as the Magic Kingdom or Epcot. It's a very small park, so there's only so many people it can take in, especially in one night. As for Universal, maybe there's a reason why they only did the two parks thing once. And that might be because the logistics and planning were, maybe they were just too much to handle for that 1 year. And maybe they thought it was best to focus on just one park. And I'm sure there's reasons for that. But I still think there ought to be something they can do that could spruce up or improve on what they have now. Because God knows if one of them did it, we would all win because of that. So I really think they need to do something, because God, Halloween can only get better from that point on. So, that's it for now. See you later.